Jimmy Fallon. I'm here with Rob Riggle, Horatio Sands, Steve Higgins, and The Roots. We've all been nominated to do the Ice Bucket Challenge to raise money for awareness for ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. And I'd like to nominate the New York Jets to do this. You have 24 hours! Everyone ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
That's Jimmy Fallon having a little bit of fun with last year's Ice Bucket Challenge, which made a big splash, raising over $100 million for ALS research. So a year out, what is the status of some of the research that money helped to fund, and how close are we to finding a cure for Lou Gehrig's disease? Here with details is Dr. John Landers, professor of neurology at UMass Medical School. Welcome, Dr. Landers. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
So your lab was awarded $1 million, correct, from the Ice Bucket Challenge?
That is correct.
How? I'm sorry.
It was $1 million that went towards a project, a collaborative project between our laboratory and another laboratory down at Emory University to get a project going. It's actually an international project going called Project Mine.
Okay, but how crucial was this money to your research?
Oh, it was very crucial. We were, and I'll tell you more about the project, but much of my lab is focused on the genetics of ALS, and we wanted to be part of a larger international project called Project Mine, as I mentioned. And before the Ice Bucket Challenge, just the funds were not there to get us off the ground and get started. But as a result of the Ice Bucket Challenge, we were able to get the $1 million, and this really has taken us very far in terms of our research.
And tell us a little bit more about that research. It's my understanding that you look into large-scale whole genome sequencing. Is that correct?
That is correct. So this is actually an international consortium of 15 different countries around the world. And what we realized is that in order to really break down the genetics of ALS, we really need to have like a divide and conquer type of approach. And so what we've done is, again, set up an international consortium, and our goal is to actually sequence the entire genome of 15,000 people that have ALS and about 7,500 people that do not have ALS, and then try to compare the genome from those that have ALS to those that don't, and try to find out those differences, and that'll give us an idea of what genetic factors are contributing to ALS.
And how far along are you?
We're relatively early. Well, I would say maybe about 25% of the way of our goal. Mm-hmm. It is probably one of the largest genetic projects that's ever occurred. I mean, if you think back to the Human Genome Project, that took 10 years to sequence one person, and here we are trying to do over 22,000 people all at one time. As you might imagine, just the computational resources that I need to do this are tremendous. Just the analysis of the human genome itself is just a huge endeavor.
And
so,
is it too early to notice any differences or similarities between the genomes of those with ALS and those without?
No, we've actually made a lot of progress, especially over the past decade. Much of the research in the past decade is actually focused on what is known as familial ALS. You can actually break down ALS into two different types: familial ALS, where a typical ALS patient will have other families that are also affected, and sporadic ALS, where you'll see just an individual patient but no family members that are affected. So about 10% of cases are familial ALS, and about 90% are sporadic ALS. In terms of familial ALS, we've made a lot of progress, and there we know probably about the genetic cause for about 2/3 of those cases. Where we're relatively weak is on the sporadic ALS cases, and there we really only know what is the cause in about 5% of those cases. So, but you know, we have made tons of progress thus far, but we need to expand to understand, you know, what are those smaller genetic factors that are contributing to ALS.
And obviously a lot of work ahead of you, but how close would you say we are to finding a cure for ALS? Oh,
I really hate ever putting a number on finding a cure. I think before anything, we have to understand what is actually going wrong in ALS patients. And that's where, you know, we still are trying to understand what is going wrong. Mm-hmm. You know, think of it if, you know, you have a problem with your car, you have to figure out what the problem is first.
Absolutely.
And, you know, until we break down the genetics, and again, we've, you know, we have a lot of ideas, or we have, you know, no part of the reason why what goes wrong in ALS patients, but we don't know the full story yet. And until you really have that, it's very difficult to put any type of timeline on, how a therapeutic can be developed to, target and treat ALS better.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. John Landers, and continued success to your research.
My pleasure. Thank you.